Hey guys, welcome to CarCast. We have another great interview live from the SEMA show. We're going to sit down with Mike and Jim Ring from the Ringbrothers and take a look at some of the great cars that they brought this year. All right, here we are with the Ringbrothers, Mike and Jim. How are you guys?
Good, Matt.
Busy? We're only a couple days into it and it's ready for nap time. It seems like it's nap time. Well, it's funny because we show up now and it's like ready for day one of SEMA, but day one is like your day 4 or 5.
Yeah, especially this year because we started out at the racetrack with the Stig. You know.
Oh yeah,
we took the
Ben
Aston.
Collins.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's right. No, he's been in the studio. He's been on the podcast before.
Oh, that's great. He's a great guy.
Yeah. So you guys went out and drove the car. So let's back up a little bit. So at the Quail, you guys unveiled the Aston Martin, which has been, if nobody's heard of it by now, I don't know where they've been. They're not listening to automotive podcasts. But then you guys brought that car out here, did another unveiling for it. But before you did, took it out, drove it, filmed some stuff with it, had some fun with it.
Yeah,
right?
It was really fun. Ben just happened to say, I've got friends, or they want me to come out to, is it Spring Mountain at Pahrump or Spring Hill or whatever. I don't know what the name of the track is, but we went out there and Ben had us with a group in 10, and it was all hypercars.
Yeah.
So, and they were doing filming with the hypercars, and that thing kind of sticks out in the middle of when they see the video of that going around the track amongst like the 20 hypercars, the Koenigsegg's and the Paganis, and it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But then we did that, and then mostly it was just Ben driving it, and I bet we probably put more laps on than any of the hypercars that were there.
What was the track, 6 miles long?
No, well, total, but the track we were on was like 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he pounded on it. It needs tires now, so.
I saw that.
Yeah.
When I walked over, you guys were talking to the F1 guy, the FIA chairman or whatever.
Mohammed,
Yeah. And so I saw that. I was like, oh, that's a good conversation. That guy got like 300 cars.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I was standing there thinking, I'm going, the Aston Martin's a good jumping off point. We always talk about like a good jumping off point to start a project with. But a guy like that could sit there and go, I've got 567 Ferrari 330 GTCs. They're 600,000 a piece, but I'm bored. Now you could take one that's 600,000 and use it as a jumping off point and make something kind of special out of it.
I don't know if Ferrari would allow that to happen. But.
Right.
I don't know if Aston Martin will.
I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, we will.
We'll wait and see. But so different for you guys. This has been a big year. Build the Aston Martin. Well, not just this year, but building the Aston Martin. Launching it at the Quail, have a booth at the Quail. You guys have never even been to Monterey Car Week prior. Tell me about that. How was that experience? Must have been a little nervous going into it.
Once in a lifetime. Obviously, you hear a lot about that show. The people out there is it's so far beyond, where we come from or who we are. There's a lot of money out there, but it was fun. It was a good day. Hard to believe all of that prep, all of that work for one 8-hour show. It's a one day, get in, get out.
Right.
Not even 8 hours.
Well, because you guys had a booth at the Quail for the first time and debuted the Aston Martin there. But the whole Monterey Car Week, now for us it's like a Wednesday through Sunday, right? You start with like the Jet Center party, you hit the track, there's a few events going on. The auctions all kind of happen that big weekend. In Pebble Beach, but talk about a gathering of like-minded people. And I don't mean just in the automotive space. I'm sure you talked to a bunch of people, came up. Once you start asking them, and it's like, and what do you do, and how do you do it? It's like, so many of them are business owners. They own businesses. Granted, very successful. It could be a commercial, like an airline of some point, or a trucking company, right, or a massive insurance company. Adam races with a guy who's so sweet. He's such a nice guy. And I'm like, what business are you in? He's like, I'm in grapes. Right? And I go, grapes? He's like, yes. There's wineries that own their vineyard, But when their volume is so high, they don't have enough grapes. He's the grapes wholesaler. All he does is sell them grapes for
grapes.
everybody else's wines. And he's like, I have more vineyard land than anybody, but I don't make any wine. I just sell grapes at vineyards. I was like,
fill in the gap.
Well, that's fucking
Brilliant.
genius. I was
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
should, like that guy is and he's out there and he's buying cars and he's racing cars. He's having a great time. So
You definitely meet a lot of people in this industry, a lot of good people.
Yeah, but you're right. It's fun to see where they come from. Like-minded people that made their money in so many different ways.
Yeah, I've always said the story where Mike and I grew up in a town of 600 people, in the middle of Wisconsin. And the people that we've had the opportunity to meet, in our lifetime over these cars is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to experience some of Monterey Car Week other than just
we
the
went
event?
up to, what's the name of the street where it's like Ferraris on?
It was Cannery Row, but now it's like Main Street or something. That event.
Yeah, we went there one day. It was really cool, and we hung out. But honestly, we got there. We looked like the Beverly Hillbillies. Because we took our whole structure. We carried it all in the dually and the trailer, and all that's got to be engineered.
Yeah.
So we had to his son-in-law poured us 4 400-pound blocks of concrete that had anchor bolts in it that we had to have.
Yeah.
So we drug that along with this massive pergola, all the signage, all that you saw, every 2x4, the flooring, all that.
Yeah.
We looked like, if their granny was on the roof, that's what we looked like.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And literally, you get out there and they say, this is where you're setting up. It's not like you can pull your truck up there. You have to find a way to get that stuff from your truck to the...
You have to carry it, walk it over that golf course.
We carried a little bit until I went and stole the golf cart. I borrowed a golf cart from one of them flatbed ones.
Yeah.
And then we got busted for that. So they're probably not too happy with the Ring Boys out there.
You guys will be back. I think you can be back. So let's talk a little.
Start a podcast to afford it. I can tell you that.
Well, or we could just start with the golf cart company the flatbed golf cart company. I think that might be. I think that might be the way to go.
Day than what
right?
all of us can do.
Another car debuted here. We'll get into that in a minute. But because we haven't really had a chance to talk about the Aston Martin, let's talk about the Aston Martin. An amazing project. I don't know how much is left, but I'm curious through the process. Like, for example, this carbon fiber body. You got to make everything in steel first, so you can make the molds for a carbon fiber body. Like, what is the process of doing something like that? And then we'll get into that car a bit more.
Yeah, no, our process has really been through with Gary is changed so much from where we used to do it. Now it's scan the original car, scan the complete car, doing renderings off of that, our input, whether we rather pull or tighten, move, so we go through that till we get a rendering that we really like.
Yeah.
And then that car is all machined. Once we say go, start machining molds and parts. But what's so difficult about that is you're building a car like Johnny Cash, one piece at a time.
Yeah.
And if this isn't perfect here, you get to that clamshell hood and where it's got a seal amongst the wheel, you could have a big mess.
Well, and then when it's done, it's like all the gaps got to be perfect, and there's not a lot of room for mistake there.
You can do when it's carbon, you can't grind it.
Right, it's not like we need to fill a little here. We can add some weld, and we can fill that because the gap's a little wide, or this one we can grind it down. Right. It's like there's none of that.
None of that.
So what do you make the tooling out of? If you're scanning it and then are machining it, it's just like
they're machining. Basically foam blocks.
Okay.
But it's really dense. Think of like Bondo. If you had a gallon of Bondo, it's super expensive. And you got to remember, those molds then are based off. So we're building molds on a lot of it, not always. Typically, you'll build for if you were going to do high volume, you would machine a plug, meaning the part.
Yeah.
Then make your mold off of that. Now we're doing the opposite. We're skipping that step. But when you do it out of this 40-pound density foam, you have a mold that's only going to get maybe 2 pulls out of it.
Right.
So it's not, but it's still really expensive.
Yeah.
Really, really expensive.
So tell us about that car. How does that process start? Does, I know this comes up all the time. It's like, does it start with you guys, or do you get lucky enough to have a client come in and go,
well, in this particular
how
case,
about an Aston Martin?
Yeah, we had a client come in, and he actually asked us what we wanted to build. He just wanted to build a car, right? He didn't, and
which is nice.
Which was, and the nice part about it was he asked us what we wanted to do, and obviously we've been talking over the years. It'd be nice to do something different besides the Camaro, the Mustang,
right?
And something European.
And
that's kind of how it come up. And he said, "How about a '71 Aston Martin?" And so he went out and bought a $130,000 or $20,000 Aston Martin, and we cut it all apart and made this car out of it.
Actually, you're probably one of the influencers. You probably don't even remember when we did our first podcast. You actually asked us about doing something non-American, European, even way back then. That's got to be 15 years ago, maybe. You and Adam, when we were at that.
We were here at SEMA, honestly, and I don't think I've seen another European hot rod. What I mean? Is there any other ones here? Do you ever see them?
You more Japanese.
Japanese. You're saying there's some German things, because like people are doing like LS swaps on E30 BMWs and some kind of fun stuff like that. And Liberty Walk, the crazy stuff out of Japan, I think did a Ferrari F40. Not sure if they got in trouble for that.
Probably.
And then I don't know what else. I think now they did, a Datsun or something.
But I mean, this typically is a GM, Ford, and Chrysler and Honda.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So that car there, when you guys started with this Aston Martin, to me, looking at it, it's like it's got a much more sort of modern feel to it. Obviously, not just with the carbon fiber elements to it, but just the line, the aggressiveness to it. But it still has those elements of beauty. Like when you look at it, and when you guys go, it's gray and it's black and it's raw carbon. But there's some chrome trim, there's some polished, chrome trim involved in the interior. It's like you can't not be an Aston Martin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think Gary actually said it the best. Like 50s, 60s Astons were super sexy.
Yeah.
Then they got kind of flat-sided, boring.
They did. They got a slabby side.
Yeah, they got slab side. Now today they're sexy again. So it was like kind of modernized that flat slab side to.
I mean, if you put the original car, which we did at the Quail,
half of it.
Out of it but, I mean, there's a lot of resemblance to what that car was.
Yeah.
I mean, the glass is the same, minus a few notches and trims, but the whole side profile, and it's just fatter and wider, and wheels push forward, and.
Yeah, but when you look at it, you can see when you guys are looking at the original car and going, these are some of the elements that could change. This could be smoother, this could be tighter. And then what would that look like if they had those resources back in the day? There are body pieces from the 60s and 70s that you couldn't even bend the metal like you can now. A modern day Ford GT, they specifically made that car, like the door comes down and it's like 90 degrees and comes out, it's 90 degrees and on the rocker. And I was like, why'd you make it so aggressive? And they go, because you can't do it in metal. And we wanted people to know it was carbon fiber.
And they said, know that.
They said if you did those bends, it would get so thin on a stamping machine that it would either have to be really thick metal so those don't get to, and he goes, so we just wanted to make it impossible to do in metal. You couldn't stamp it. So now you look at it and you go, it has to be carbon fiber.
Wow.
So looking at some of those things, those elements end up in your car going, this is only you can only really do some of this stuff in carbon. Right. So it's stretched out, it's widened, you fit more tire underneath it. Gotta ask, why not a Aston Martin engine, a European engine, an Aston 12-cylinder, something like that?
Well, we reached out to them, and I think the term was they didn't have the bandwidth.
That's exactly the word they used.
With a project
Basically, they haven't been doing very profitable for the last few years, as that's no secret. lost probably $500 million in 2 years or more.
A company that's always made gorgeous cars and has always struggled. There's a handful of companies, Lotus, Aston Martin, there's a Maserati, like they just get traded around and it's like amazing they survive.
And the owner of this car, the guy we built it for, he owns several new Aston Martins.
Yeah.
And he's a hardcore Aston Martin guy.
Yeah.
So it's he wanted a hot rod one. So
he wanted a hot rod. So tell me what engine is in it.
It's a Coyote, and we thought, since we can't use an Aston, Ford owned Aston for about 10 years, so we thought, and honestly, if you saw the original 5.3 or 5.4 that were in those cars, they're double overhead cam, it's very similar to a Coyote.
Yeah.
Very similar. So we thought, we know how to make Coyotes run with Wagner, and Harrop on the supercharger, switching it around to give us where we needed it and everything to be.
So
I'd be willing to bet if we put that old carburetor system on a Coyote, made the valve covers look a little more like that particular motor, nobody'd even known the difference.
You're probably right. Yeah. Certainly, because they go, they just cleaned up the motor. They're like, they just took it apart and custom made some stuff, and new front engine accessory drive, and but that's the original motor. But you're right. Now, the Harrop supercharger does make a difference.
Sure.
That makes it look kind of modern. But looking at that supercharger, that's not factory. That's not quite what their supercharger systems look like. So they must have helped you all.
Yeah, they completely, as we know, most Coyotes, or all Coyotes I'm aware of, the throttle body's always off to the side, like it is on our Mustang here, and that's how theirs are too. But it wasn't going to fit. Like, we in CAD knew that airbox had to be here so it could seal onto the hood. So basically we said to Harrop, this is where this is.
Yeah.
You need to get there. And we don't want any crazy snorkel. And then we don't like where your hoses are. Like, if you look at this supercharger on this Mustang, they bring the water in the goofiest places.
And it's just horrible.
It just clutters everything up.
Look good,
So Harrop remade the whole brick inside, a new lid, because we designed what we want, and they did all that, moved all the brick so we could run the hoses in the back, clean it up, make it more aesthetically pleasing. And
how many supercharger companies did you have to call before Harrop is the one who said yes?
Yeah, we were blessed to meet him in Australia when we were down there.
Yeah.
So
if you met them and they offered, like, if you ever have a project, let's talk, and then you actually took them up on it, then it's good.
Yeah.
But
I don't think they'd answered the phone or would answer again if we called them again.
If you called them again, hey, I got another idea. They're like, no, sorry.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, we're not feeling
enough
good.
on that one.
All right, so let's talk about the car behind us now, the Mustang. 69 Mach 1.
Correct.
All right, yeah, it's amazing.
He sent us the car. It was pretty rough when we got it. I mean, it was a basket case, typical rusted out Mustang. Clearly, we don't use a whole lot of it. Again, everything was remade, obviously, because the quarters are wider and fenders are wider, and so wheels are pushed forward on the front end, which obviously you had to move the wheel wells in the fenders. So
yeah.
But yeah, he wanted a car that was murdered out. He goes, I don't like chrome. And I kind of want my interior to look like a tuxedo.
Okay.
We were going to call it Mob Boss, but I got overruled, and it's called Kingpin now. And it kind of has the flair from Godfather. If you look at the emblem, it kind of has a Godfather flair. And then it's got the chest piece on the valve cover, and for the Kingpin, it's got a king chest piece on like the valve cover, and in the name for the
and now,
eye.
Is this car steel or is this carbon?
It's steel.
It's steel.
Yep.
And then the body, the changes, you said changing the wheelbase, moving the wheels forward. Is it wider? Lower. Is it chopped at all?
No chop in the roof. It's wider in the back by like an 1 3/4 per side, and the front of 1 inch a side. And then we did make a carbon hood for it.
Machined all the bumpers.
Yeah. Now, something that you guys walked me through probably a few years ago is like when you're doing some widening of the vehicle, instead of doing a big fender flare, which could look goofy, right? Unless it fits the theme, a racing theme or something. But if you cut it down the middle, then everything is like the dash is wide and everything. So you kind of do it in like the thickness of the door, right? So you kind of take the two door skins, if I'm trying to paint a visual picture for people listening on the podcast, take the door skin and kind of widen it there. So the exterior is getting a little wider, all of it, down the whole side of the car, while keeping the interior pretty much the same. So the dash fits, it doesn't look out of proportion, right?
And you're right. When you widen the car from the middle, the greenhouse, I don't think they're meant to be big. You know what I mean? They're kind of a set size, and you kind of want to retain that. So you're absolutely right. And we're not, not to just use as a thing. We're not putting bushwhacker flares to create the width. So you're right. When you go widening through the door, though, you got to remember you got to change hinges and all. You got to move the hinge because as they rotate, if you had your hinge at the original position and you widen that door, it's going to need a bigger sweep.
Right.
So whatever you widen the door at, you got to widen that hinge. You got to change that hinge position, which we learned that. But this car, what's different about it than other cars is when we widened the fenders, we actually came back to the existing spot, so it gave it more of a Coke bottle. And a lot of our other cars, we did what you said, where you widen the whole thing. But this, we widened just the middle of the fenders and brought it back to the original positions, front and rear.
So the doors are really untouched, basically.
On this car, the doors are untouched.
Right, because you wanted a more aggressive look, just more, little hips, in the back. The engine, Coyote engine, supercharged. Is it?
It's a Wagner.
Is it Magnuson supercharger?
Whipple. All through Wagner, our buddies in Wisconsin.
And they're building great stuff. They're building great engines for you guys.
And for a lot of
listen,
people.
if you get an engine that works and fires up and runs well, one less thing to take off your plate, right?
Isn't that the truth? Jim and I started. We did it. One of our first cars was a black '69, and put the motor in. The guy was like, actually, when he met us in Columbus, he was white. And he said, if I'd have known that was going in a car like that, I'd have built a better motor. Shit, he used swing set bolts, and it was a pile of, and it was a big name builder at the time. He's no longer in business, and then the guy, I'll give you this free 8-stack, and oh my God, we just couldn't get it to run.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
Like you said, we're done with that. We want proven stuff.
I would imagine
great motors are great.
Definitely just like get a motor that works, and then just sit there and go, how do we just make it look better? Like cosmetically, how do we make it fit the car, fit the theme of the car, like smooth it out, like just whatever needs to happen to it aesthetically, because now we don't want to fuss with just, is it going to idle right? Like there's Coyote engines, like if you don't get the
stuff you get from GM, Ford, these connect and cruise, and they come as a package with the transmission, and it all plugs in, it all works, it's just, how do you beat it?
The problem now is, like, you try to find an LT4, or you try to find the automakers, they put way too much into electric that they kind of abandoned the crate industry and all this hot rod industry. It's hard to get like a crate motor right now.
Interesting.
So it's I think
plus they got to keep so many for warranty. They're thinking like, we have a disaster with warranty, we need these motors, so they won't even sell them to you.
I think the OE's got a little over their skis on moving away from gas engines, but a lot of outside pressure on them for that.
Exactly.
There's a few companies that kind of wanted to stay in their lane. Toyota honestly never really changed their tune. They're like, we like hybrids better than EV, so we're going to stick with hybrids. And now the dust settled, they're like, we were right. So
I think Bill Goldberg, Jim, and I are right about the electric thing. Bill, if you ever hear this, you are absolutely right. We've talked about it 10, 15 years ago. We are never going to jump on the bandwagon of electric.
I did a interview at a big museum in I don't know, it's like Portland or something. Adam and I launched a museum, and Mario Andretti was our guest, and I had already done like this History Channel TV show with Mario Andretti, so I knew EV was like a hot button for him. So you better believe I went up on stage, was like, Mario Andretti, let's talk about EV. And he was like, ah. He was just like visibly sick, and it was fun. He had a great time. He's just like, talk about shitting on that technology.
Yeah,
He's
there's
out.
a guy that puts race fuel on for cologne.
I know.
Yeah.
We just saw him over in the other booth, and then the interior on this car, looks amazing. But you when you get the directive, you're like, we got to do it black. It's got to be all black. It's like, I know, but you gotta like break it up with a little bit of something. Like we need to do like something kind of satin black and something kind of a gloss black. Like it just can't be all the same.
Absolutely. Because you lose it all.
You do, yeah. And it's tough to kind of see the lines and everything. So you know. Not to mention, I don't know, now that it's there and it's done, if your customer hopes to drive that car, I don't know what you do. You just full PPF the whole thing?
What's that?
You just PPF the whole thing?
Like
gotta
that Aston is all PPF.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the way to go today.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab some. I'm gonna grab some footage, some B-roll for this. Check out the cars, and
Well,
I know you guys are off to the next thing.
It's
and
always good to be on this.
I love chatting with you guys. It's 20 years of SEMA now. 20 years.
20th year. And you were here, and you unveiled one of our first.
Yeah, Adam and I were out for the Fairlane. What was that?
Drinking beer,
Like
I think
17,
you were still
18
in
years?
diapers
No,
back then,
that
weren't you?
was in like 08,
Yeah.
like 09 maybe. That was a long time ago.
It was a long
right?
time ago.
You had just gotten your driver's license.
Yeah, you look like he still looks like it, but back then he really looked like they checked.
I
You had
did-
to be
so-
16 to get in. I'm sure they checked you.
So like I looked at the video from back in the day. I was like, oh, we were younger.
Yeah.
We were younger.
A long time ago.
But it was so much fun, and
was.
I know it was like us and maybe Leno at the time. Certainly Leno, he was already doing it. He's amazing. But we were wanting to bring cars into the studio and stuff, and I know that was just like unheard of. It was like a pain in the ass. You're like you have a sponsor, an overriding sponsor, maybe like Royal Purple at the time. You're like, we're going to the SEMA show, but then we should stop in California and do this podcast and a video. And they're like, the fuck we are. We're like, we don't want to do that.
Right.
And we're like, no, maybe it's worth a shot. I appreciate you guys always going to bat for us and making the effort to whoever you got to fight to bring the cars out and do that stuff. It was so much fun doing that, and I just hearing those cars, seeing them in person in the sunlight, firing them up.
Doing the burnout, making. I think he was a little bit
that was
upset.
the Chevelle, wasn't it?
I don't remember which car.
Maybe it
we
was the
did
Chevelle. Yeah.
Adam was probably like, that's enough of that.
Yep. He's over it.
Yeah.
He's
It was
over
fun,
it now.
though.
Plenty of that. But all right, guys, thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.